those concepts?
No, that is clear to me.
Okay. Now today we are going to see about file set and okay, and external source and external target. All the three we will try to cover today itself. And what is the basic purpose of having file set and how it behaves? Okay, if possible, complex lifestyle today we try to complete it, or else we will include lookup file set in case of complex lifestyle, and complex partition we will move tomorrow. And what is the purpose of having this file set? Okay, and what is the difference between lookup file set and ordinary file set? Okay, we will see about it. And now coming to the file set is nothing but okay, a group of files would be created. What are the problems with the existing sequential file? Yesterday I told you some problems with the sequential file. What are the problems?
The problems with the sequential file were like, just a second. I don't remember exactly, but
yeah, no problem. By default, yeah, try to remember. By default, it runs in sequential mode. Okay, when we write something to the target, okay, by default it runs in sequential mode. We can't make it to run in parallel mode. The first problem. And the second problem is it has got operating system limitations from the size end.
Yeah.
Okay, so yes, in XP you can't create a file with more than 2 GB of size. Now, in order to counter those issues, okay, what they have come up is they have come up with this file set. Okay, file set is something like a group of files. So for example, now let us think that you are writing to a sequential file. When it reaches 2 GB size, right, it automatically creates a new file. Okay, but in order to keep track like these particular files, this particular group of files are related to a single file. Like actually you intend to see only a single file. Okay, when 2 GB size crosses, it is going to create one more file for you. And in order to keep track, like that newly created file also belongs to the same file that it is trying to create. Okay, it internally keeps track of, it internally makes an entry into a descriptor file. Okay, this combination, like a single descriptor file and original data files, this combination is called as your file set. You are able to understand me, right? Hello.
Niram, can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm able to hear you.
Okay.
So is it clear for you whatever I told, like what is a file set and all?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm coming to the lookup file set. What is the purpose of having the lookup? You are able to see my screen?
Yeah. You're not showing anything, right? It's just a blank one. Okay.
No, I just, yeah. I was actually I opened this VMware and I have clicked on this thing is taking some time again. One second, just cancel this. You know the shortcut for getting task manager? Like, you know the path of getting task manager inside VMware? What is that one?
No, the shortcut for getting?
Oh, yeah, I got it. Okay, so what is the purpose of, you understood the purpose of file set, right? What is the importance of file set? It is going to overcome all the limitations which a sequential file has posed. Like it can run by default in parallel mode, and it can actually overcome the operating system limitations by creating extra files whenever the max file size gets crossed. Like 2 GB is the limitation from XP. Once 2 GB touches, it is going to create a new file, and what it makes an entry into the descriptor file, saying that these two files relate to a single file. That is what it makes at the target. Now, that is what about your lookup file set. Coming to your what is a range for, sorry, lookup file set. You are able to understand what is file set, right?
Can you come again with the last point which you said now? Like,
yeah, file set is something like a group of files would be a group of sequential, sorry, a group of files would be created, not the sequential files. A group of files would be created. How they are going to be created is something like, let us say 2 GB is the limitation from operating system here for each file, okay? So what it does, when let us say our target file is going to hold 3 GB file. Okay. Our target data would be 3 GB. So sequential file would abort, right, saying that I can't create further. This file set, what it will do, once 2 GB touches, right, it is going to create a new file for you without your knowing itself. It will create the next 1 GB in the new file, and it makes the entry into a descriptor file. So there is a tag file called descriptor file. In that descriptor file, it makes an entry like, for this particular operation or for this particular target file, there are two files. The first file entry would be made because of complete location, and the second file entry also would be there with the complete location. I will show you practically how it looks like, okay, how file set looks. And also the content within the file set is human readable. Okay, it is not something like a data set where when you open it, you can't see anything, right? In data set, completely junk would be shown when you try to open it with the notepad. So the only way that you can view data in the data set is you use these data sets, what we say, data sets view data button, or go to this tools, go to data set management, and there you can see that one. Okay, so the file sets actually creates human readable format. That's it. You are able to understand, right? What is the how file sets gets created? What is the importance of file sets? When somebody asks you what is the difference between sequential file and file sets, you are able to tell them, right?
Difference as in what I could grasp is like the file set actually comes above the sequential file, so that it's like all the what can I say? The drawbacks of the sequential file are not there in the file set.
By default, it operates in parallel. By default, if size limitations are there from the operating system, it is going to create new files. Okay, and to keep track, like see, it would not create in the target place where you are expecting the file to be created. Okay, if you give C output in the C output folder, if you give ram.fs, that means file set. If you open ram.file set, you won't see actually the original data file set. Original data files would be created in some other directory, but where the original data files have been created, that entry should be made in a descriptor file. So ram.fs should be your descriptor file. Okay. When you open it, I will show you. Instead of speaking, if I show you, I think it will be easier.
Instead of
speaking, it's better to show you, right? Current set creation. So that what happens? Now see, this is the file set icon. Now when you open this file set, okay. So in the C input folder, file set example.fs is the one that I am creating, right? Okay, what I will do, I will open that one. C input. File set example.fs, right? This is the one which got created in earlier sessions of the demo. So see, this is the target file that I gave, right? In this particular file set, that one is the target file that I gave.
Okay.
See input file set example.fs. Now generally what do you expect? This should be your data file, right?
Mm-hmm.
But actually this is the descriptor file. Are you able to get anything here in this descriptor file? Just look into it.
Descriptor file.
This is the descriptor file. When I right click and open with notepad, this is
Mm-hmm.
not the original data file. See?
Mm-hmm.
Now it has given some information like, see, this is the place where the data files have been created with this name, the first file.
Okay.
Okay. This is the second file that got created. Here this is not because of 2 GB size limitation. As I am running on 2 node, okay, each node has created one file in the file set.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this is here. It is not because of 2 GB. When you want to see 2 GB limitation, right? You use only one node, and in the sequential file, let us say in the source you have used the sequential file. In the target you are using file set. Okay, you run the complete job design on a single node, and in the sequential file put nearly 2 GB data, or you are able to follow it. In that case, when 2 GB crosses, okay, this one will create a new file. You can see that one. Now, here I have got two files because of no, I am running this particular job design on 2 node file, 2 node configuration file. Okay, that is why I have got two files here. It has overcome the limitation of sequential file. Sequential file can never write that handle, the sequential file while writing, it can achieve only one handle from the operating system here. So that is why the inherent problem is still continuing. Whereas file set, I told you right, this is not going to be a sequential file kind of files. Okay, this is just a fact file, that's it. No sequential algorithm will be used while writing the file set data. Okay, so it runs in parallel mode. So when I run it on 2 node file, it is going to create me 2 files. Now see, this is the schema that is going to be created along with the files. The reason why this thing came here is I have given that setting like I want to have schema also to be written. Okay, while writing this particular file, this particular descriptor file, it makes an entry for where the original data sets are being placed, and also I asked it to put the schema also in the same descriptor file. Okay, that is the reason why you are seeing these column names. Okay, column size max equal to 8 and column data type as string. Okay, and the format info and all you are seeing here for the single purpose, like I have asked it to write it. Okay, I will show you that setting. In the file set I told you, right, I will be showing you like instead of typing something in the columns tab, I will use the schema file. I told you, right. In the file set I will use it. Why? Because in the file set we have got that option to create a schema file, and while reading this file set I will use this read the schema file from the file set itself. Okay, I will show you the settings. Now you are able to understand what this file set example.ss file would contain, right? It doesn't contain the actual data. It contains the path to the actual data. Now see, this is the path, right? You will just open that particular path and see this particular file whether it exists or not. Export administrator CIVM information server. Okay. I'm going to open the original files. CIVM information server. Server data set. So this is the one, right? This is the data file that has been shown. Two data files are being shown here. There, descriptor file. Two are being shown here. Shown up here. Just opening in the notepad. It is human readable format, right? You are able to read everything here, whatever is being shown here.
Yeah.
So this is how the data files are being created inside the CIVM information server data sets folder. Okay. But the target, whatever you are giving here, that will be this particular thing. Whatever you have given, it is just a descriptor file. When you say that this file set has been created, you have actually created a descriptor file under the data sets. Data sets would be created. Sorry, the data files would be created within the data sets folder, and this particular whatever you are seeing here, it can be called as a descriptor file. Okay. Now coming to this job design, now my intention in this job design is to create a file set. Now I am using whatever yesterday I have used the sequential file as source, right? I'm having good amount of data in this thing, so I wanted to use once again the same sequential file create. That means the same sequential file state with the same sequential input. Now coming to the file set properties about this file set, see, this particular property wants you to give the location where the file set needs to be created. Okay, this is very much important. I told you, right? File set schema policy, there are two options, write and omit. Okay, when you use write, what does it mean in the sense? See, when you give write, what you are saying to the data stage is, while creating the file set, whatever info that you are seeing in the columns tab, okay, under the format tab. While creating the file set, whatever info that you are seeing in the columns tab and the format tab, these two information should be created as a schema file. That is what you are saying. You are able to understand me, right?
Yeah.
What did I say just now?
Like for this, when we use the write option, we can see the schema inside the descriptor file. If not, when you use the omit,
it is something like I am not only getting the data, but also I am making note of the schema also. The benefit by what we get out of it is, while reading the file set, right, there is no need. There is one more job which actually reads this particular file set. Okay, while reading the data from the file set, we no need to type anything in the columns tab and the format tab. Okay. I will just mention that you are already having the schema file with you. Just use the schema file. So that we can, no need from our end to type anything explicitly into format tab and columns tab. And omit means I don't want to have the schema information in that particular file. That is what we are saying. Okay, so when you are trying to read this file set, you have to explicitly give the complete schema info. Now coming to this update policy, there are just these four options. Create means it will create. Okay. For the first time it will create the file, and for the second time if you run, this will abort the job, saying the file is already there. And overwrite in the sense, always it tries to overwrite the data. And yesterday I told you, right, use existing discard records and use existing discard schema on records. It is something like it will look into the file set that was there, and it just deletes the records that's existing, and it uses the same schema for the incoming data. And the last option is something like it will just delete the records as well as it removes the schema structure also within it, and it recreates the schema based on the source data. Okay, that is how it operates. These are the four settings that you can use for your file set update policy. Now, these are the only settings that you have got in the target category. Coming to the options category, if this cleanup or failure, what does this mean?
What is that? Cleanup on failure. Like when it aborts or when something when an error occurs, the whole set of values are cleared.
Yes. So partially, if it has written something onto the target and if the job gets aborted for some reason, okay, what happens? This cleanup on failure is something like it wipes out the partially written data. Okay, that is what the purpose of having cleanup of failure. You have to enable test true if you want the functionality. And coming to the reject mode equal to continue. Reject mode equal to continue. This thing, when you see reject mode, that means you are going to have, it supports, this particular stage supports the reject link. Okay, when you use continue, okay, if something happens, okay, some rejects have been identified based on the 3 types of rejects that I told you yesterday. If rejects have been and you are using the setting as continue, what does it mean? It is actually root the, it actually neglects that reject records and proceeds to the next set of records. If you use fail, that means if at least one reject has been identified, just fail about the job. That is what the meaning of fail. And coming to output, output is something like it will actually route that particular reject data into the reject link. That is what the meaning of your output. When you use output mode, it actually routes all the reject links towards the reject records towards the reject link. So at the end, you might have used peak or some data set, okay, to collect these particular reject records. Now, for our example, I am using it as continue. And single file per partition. See, what this means, let us say from the source you are using some data set. Okay, here I am using just sequential file, so there would be only what is it? Here I am using sequential file. Let us say I am using some data set. Data set, I told you, right? Data set has got some unique capability that it can store data in terms of partitions as well. Internally, the data set can store data in terms of partitions as well. Whereas sequential file, it doesn't have the capability to store data in partitions. Okay, let us say you are getting data in two partitions. Sequential file just clubs them and put it, it just dumps into the sequential file. Whereas this data set, we have got the capability to store them as it is. Like first partition's data would be put inside it, and then second partition's data would be put inside it in the same data set. So let us say if you are having, if you are using such source, okay, data set, and here in this particular partition tab, if you are using same partition, okay, that means you are saying that whatever the partitions that's already there inside the data set, you want to use the same partition, and you have used this particular property as single file per partition. That means whatever the data that is coming from within single partition would be created as a separate file. You are able to understand, right? Whatever data that is coming in a single partition will be created as single file in the file set group.
Okay.
You are able to follow me?
Yeah.
Clear or any doubts?
I think that's clear.
Fine. So whatever data, just remember that if you use this particular setting, internally in the link, if data is moving in terms of partitions, like first partition 10 records and second partition 10 records are coming within the link, what this particular setting will do, all the 10 records which are coming in the first partition would be created a single file in your file set, and whatever data that is coming in the second partition will be created one more file in your file set group. That is what it will do if you use single file for partition.
Okay, Ram, that is clear. Like the single file for partition is clear, but I'm just trying to recollect how the dataset partition was.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I remember that you explained to me yesterday, but
no problem. See, you want me to show it, or do you want me to?
Just tell me it so that I can recollect. I don't remember exactly.
No, what it is, see, let us say in the link, let us just think like this file set is not there and one data set is there, okay? Now, whatever data is coming within this particular link, let us say the data is coming in two partitions. Why? Because I am running on two nodes, okay? And let us consider two data sets in the sense two sets of data is coming. Why we are getting two sets of data? As I am running on two node files, each node is processing the data. So in the first partition, let us say 10 records are coming, and in the second partition, let us say 10 records are coming. Okay. In that scenario, what happens? Data set is having a unique capability, like whatever the data is coming in the first group, the first partition, it internally traces that it makes an entry inside it saying that these complete records came only from first partition, and then again it makes an entry like these particular next 10 records came from second partition. So internally it has the capability to identify from which partition the records came. You are able to identify it? Yeah. I will show you practically one thing. Where is this? Okay, whereas sequential file, right, it runs only on single node and it doesn't have the capability to collect the data in terms of partitions. If you open sequential file, in any way you cannot identify like this particular record came from first partition and this record came from second partition, that thing you can't see. Okay, whereas in data set, I will show you now, I'm just what I'm trying to do, I'm going to create a copy of this particular sequential file. Yesterday I have showed you how to read the delimited file, right? Once we create this sequential file copy, I will replace that sequential file with a data set at the target. Okay, in the data set, I will try to run this particular job on two nodes. Okay, I will show in the tools data set management utility is there. If you click on that and if you select any of the newly created data set, what it does, it will show the particular data. See, you are able to see this data set management utility, right? Yeah. Click on this. Okay, we will see at least one data set. I think it should have created. Mostly I will run my jobs on single node. The reason being, while training, sometimes small problems might come from the VMware end if you are running on two nodes. So hopefully I think at least one we will find out which has run on two nodes, so that we can see that it shows you very clearly like this record, this particular partition inside the data set has got this many number of records. So data set has got that facility. In the file set also, what I mean to say is, let us consider the source is a data set which is having partitions inside it. Now, when the data is flowing within the link, if you use the particular setting like one file per partition, it is going to create one file. Or if you know this sequential file itself is used, to go to the partitions tab here and use round robin. In the file set, go to the, now you are using this file set as the target, right? So go to the file sets partition tab and use that particular round robin algorithm so that it spreads the data across two nodes. Now two partitions are being created, right? So whatever partitions it got created, for each partition one file will be created. You can do it in either way. Now we will see what are those particular data sets. Sample ds1.ds. Okay. See, you are able to see, right? Node 1 and node 2. I just opened one particular sample1.ds file.
Okay.
These are. I opened this file sample1.dataset. Okay. Here, if you open, one partitions info are being created. It is saying that from node 1, that is 0th partition, I have two records in one block. Okay, size is 156 bytes in total. And it is saying that from node 2, from the first partition, I have got two records. Okay, from single block. Okay, this the size is 260. So this capability is there now. Okay, so it is having a note of like from where this record has come. It is saying the two records has come from 0th partition that has been created for node 1. This sort of info is being created for your file set. See, it is being shown where this particular what file. Sorry. You are able to understand, right? How it is going to store the data internally. You have got this info also, like 0th partitions data, I have got two records. First partition data, I have got two records. So this unique capability is not there in your sequential file. You can't make sure that if you want to get something like from which partition I have read this particular record in sequential file, it's not possible. Whereas in dataset, you can go to the dataset management, just view that particular file there. Okay. When you view, it is showing the data in this format. Yeah?
Yes.
That is what I am saying. Now, see, if I use this particular file as input and I have used that particular setting, what it does, it is going to read this particular data. For these two records which were shown in the first partition, it will be created in a single file, and these two records will be created in some other file. You are able to understand, right, how a file set takes this one?
Yeah.
Okay. That's it, and going to the file set once again, the properties. Okay, now from this options category, there are some more options. Schema file, I told you, right? Instead of providing any data in columns format there, we can actually mention the schema file. Okay, I have actually created a schema file now. Okay, so using the next example, like I will be using the same schema file. Maximum file size. You can mention maximum file size. Say you can actually impose the size of each file that is being created inside this file set group. Okay, if you give it as 500 MB, for every 500 MB, it is going to create a new file in the file set.
Okay, so it's like it will create the like if you give the limit, it will create n number of files with that limit.
Yes. Based on the, let us say your source is having 100 MB data. And here if you have created 10 MB as the file size, so 10 files will be created.
Okay.
And file suffix is something like, okay, where you are at the end of your file, there should be some naming convention. If you feel like at the end of the file you need to have some underscore neath or something like that, you can put it here. File suffix. File prefix means in the naming convention, in the starting of your file, you are going to have this particular name. Okay, by default it will use this particular what you say. Uh, by default it will use this export.username as as this particular thing, as the particular prefix. If you want, you can use something from your end. And this pool is something, okay, where this particular data has to be written. That is what here this info that you need to provide. It is not that much important. Leave it to the data set itself. The reason why I'm asking to leave it, Datastage has got the capability to identify where you are having more amount of dummy space or empty space and creates on its own. But if you give like this data files has to be created in some folder, you can give it. You are able to understand me, right?
Yeah.
Want to go to your file prefix, but leave it as it is. The reason why I'm asking you to leave it is it will identify wherever the spaces are there, and it actually tries to put it there. But if you restrict it to put in some particular disk or in particular directory, then you can use that particular section.
Okay.
Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to run this particular job file set solution. Just closing it. If I modify something, it will get wiped out. Okay.
Ram, in the real-time scenario, how will we decide like which file set and what exactly does the file set do? Like say for example in the real-time requirement.
Frankly speaking, Nita, I have worked on 6 projects so far and I never used the file set in my project. See, I told you, right, as part of this particular training, we need to tell you everything. Okay.
Yeah, I understood, but I'm just asking you, like, not exactly the file set, but any of the file stages.
Okay. Generally, we would get inside this particular files. We will never use. Okay, as target, we will never prefer files as the target medium until and unless we want to view something especially. Mostly, we will use sequential file. We will get sequential file in the comma separated format. CSV file. We will get them as input files. We will be able to read it. Very rarely, some clients will ask us to give some CSV files. So in that case only we will use sequential file as target. Okay. Other than that, we never used us to create any other files format. In these 6 projects, we haven't used any other stage, which when we wanted to deliver to the client, right, we are delivering just the sequential files only. And as sources also, we got 99.99% we will be getting only CSV files. Other formats of files they will not prefer actually. Okay, that is just out of our tutorial we will be knowing it, but in real world you will not see any other formats. And in this file, and there is one more stage called complex flat file that is also used a bit more. Like complex flat file is having some capability to read comfortably the fixed width files, okay, variable width files, and also in a single file it can actually have multiple record types as well. Let us say in a particular file, the first record is a fixed width file, second record is a variable width file, third record is something else file, right? You are able to understand me. In a single file, you will be having various formats for the records. In that case, it is not possible to read with your sequential file. Okay. Generally, in real world, we will be using only 2. Sequential file and complex flat file. And coming to complex flat file, it is used only like 5 to 6%. And the other 94% we will be depending only on the sequential file stage. Okay, that 6% is very much torturous. When you get some complex flat files, either you are already facing some problem. Okay, that is the most complex stage, and the implementation. See now, whatever properties that we are learning here from any file set or sequential file that applies even tomorrow also. Okay. But if you go to complex flat file today, based on one file, if you understand some particular properties, tomorrow if you try to apply those properties understanding on tomorrow's new file, it will not apply. Based on the input, the way the complex flat file behaves is completely changed. So today you might get some COBOL file, which is fixed width COBOL file. For our example, I will be showing you fixed width COBOL file. So tomorrow, if you get some variable width and inside that some, have you got any mainframe concepts?
Yeah, slightly, not.
Okay, you know about the contours and all inside that mainframes?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you are going to get the contour boundaries and all, right, then again this particular, the way this complex flat file behaves again changes.
Okay.
Okay, so it is the most complex stage, and based on the input, you need to figure out how to do it. Mostly in complex flat file, you get almost the data from the client itself, like how to, what copy you need to use while downloading, while importing this particular sequential file states metadata. I have used the sequential file import operator, right? I went to import. I just opened that particular sequential file in the columns tab. I have clicked on load, and send it. I have imported the data, right? Imported the schema definition, right? Here also you can import actually. Import table definitions option is there, right? Go to this table definition, click on the sequential file, okay, and you can import the metadata info of the particular sequential file. If you are going to use some complex flat file, and if you are going to import some, let us say for our example, I'm going to use fixed width global file. So in this case, you need to click on this global file definitions. Okay, there it will ask you like what is the original data file and what is the copybook. Okay, copybook and the data file, you know the concept, right? Copybook is just like a window. Let us say they will be giving you one big data file which will be having 1,000 columns inside. No column names and all will be shown there. Just like a dump data will be shown. Okay, if you remember in my demo session, the first slide that I used is raw data with some black screen would be there, only data would be shown. Okay, that is a snapshot of that particular mainframe data. No column name, nothing would be there. So this copybook is something like you will be having a set of columns. Okay, when you try to match this particular copybook with that particular data set, it may match based on the application that the data has been created. Once it matches, you will see not the total 100 columns now. Let us say this copybook matches, and if it is showing only 10 columns, that means this copybook has filtered out the other 90 columns, and only 10 columns are related to this particular application which copybook is using. So only 10 columns will be shown, and use the copybook and data set as combination to import the metadata in the COBOL file definitions. Okay, totally complex stuff this one. Once we come to this particular complex slide, I will show you how to read this, fixed with COBOL file. There are various levels also. If you remember in the COBOL files, you gave this hierarchy, parent and children hierarchy structures also, level 1, level 2, till level 49. Okay, so level 2 would be your parent, and till level 49 it would be children. The hierarchy structure, so everything needs to be mentioned. It is so tedious actually. Complex flat file, if you are going to use in your project, then think like you are going to get at least 1 or 2 issues. Okay.
Okay.
And coming to this file set creation, now our file set creation, one second, I will just compile and I will run it. Okay. So your file set got created. Okay. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to use the created file set in the next job. Okay. When I use file set in the source, let us see what are all the properties that comes into picture. It is expecting me to give what is the source of this particular file set read. I have given the whatever I have created in the earlier example. I'm using once again here file set example.fs. Okay, I don't want to keep the file partitions. I'm going to read it. And here I'm going to use once again reject the operator. I can actually use it as sorry, I can do the setting as continue, fail, or output. Report progress you understood, right? What is the purpose of having report progress?
Yeah, like you'll get all the steps there in the director.
Yeah, the 10% is done, 20% is done, it will give you. See, this is the important property which I usually like, use schema defined in file set. So, if you observe in the previous file set, while creating the file set, I have given the setting like files, that schema to write, that particular setting I have given to write the schema file in the descriptor file, right? So, you are able to remember that? The setting I used while creating the file set. I asked you to create the schema file in the descriptor file itself. So now what I am doing, I am using the schema file. Use the schema defined in file set. Okay. So the schema is already there in the file set. Okay. Use that schema file only. That is what I am saying. See, if you observe, the column stem and all, I am not going to type anything now.
Okay.
Okay. So that is what I am.
So the file set that it says here is a source file set, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Here, whatever the file set that I have created in the earlier example, I am using that one as the source. That means now I am trying to read that particular file set. Earlier I created that particular file set, now I am trying to read it. Now I have used this setting like use schema defined in file set equal to true. So once I use this particular use schema defined in file set equal to true, there is no need from my end to type anything here in format tab and the column tab. Why? Because it fix whatever is being there in the descriptor file itself. Okay. These are the settings that comes, and whatever the extra option that you get, split BOM is unnecessary, that is related to byte order. And coming to row number column, see I told you right, even in the sequential file, there is one extra property called row number column where you can actually identify from which, the record will be identified like what is the row number in the source. I told you right, you want me to show it?
Yeah, I remember that, the row number column. Yeah,
like
even when you put into different partitions, it's the row number from the source that it's being shown there.
It shows you like from the source what is the number of this particular record. It shows you the number of the particular record would be shown, and file name column is something like it shows you from what file this particular record has come. If you want to put any filters like in the sequential file, you can actually put the filter option also like grep-i RAM if you give. It is going to look only for the RAM records and it will process only RAM records, other would be filtered out. Okay, you can actually use the reject link and capture what are all being rejected by using this particular filter. Fine?
Yeah.
Now I will just compile it and show that no error has occurred and everything is working fine. Like I have used the setting, right? Here feed all the things from the schema file. So if it is going to work fine, then it shouldn't throw any error. And it should pick the columns definition and all directly from your schema. So your file set ran properly. That means even though we haven't provided any columns or formats info, it picked directly from the schema file and it was able to run properly. Fine? I just wanted to show you that whether you are getting some one or two values in the field. Okay, coming to the lookup file set. Now, what is the difference between file set and lookup file set in the sense? So, see, lookup file set is something like there is an operator called lookup. There is a stage called lookup in your processing stages file. Now, what is the purpose of having lookup? If you are having two tables, employee table and department table, Okay, in the employee table, let us say you are having 3 columns: employee number, employee name, department number. Okay, and in the department table, you are having 2 columns: department number and department name. Fine. Now, if you want to, if your final requirement is to create four columns with the data like employee number, employee name, department number, and department name. So, in order to get this particular department name column, we need to look up on the department number, department table to get this particular department number. What will be the lookup key? Department number. Based on the department number, we need to get the department name from the department table. So this is called as your lookup operation. Now what I am going to do, the source table would be my employee table. For every department number, I am going to look up on the department table to get the corresponding department name. Okay. So in this scenario, department number would be your lookup key. How it looks like, I will show you one second. Before that, I will just open this particular directory and I will show you how this file set has picked the record. We are done with the file set. So this particular progress 10%, 20% and all came because of that report progress equal to yes. And now, yeah, where is this P? I'm not able to see P. Yeah, P. So this is how your records should be picked. By default, it is going to pick only 10 records. Why? Because I have given the settings in P. Fine? You are able to understand this file set, right? No doubts in this particular file set concept, right?
No, it's clear.
Fine. Now going with this lookup file set. The purpose of having lookup file set is I told you in the I don't know, I haven't told you. In the lookup, there are three processing stages: lookup, join, and merge. Okay. The purpose of these three is something like I told you right now. Employee table will be there, department table will be there. You can achieve that end purpose, like you have to bring 4 columns: employee name, employee number, department number, and department name into one particular table. Your end purpose can be solved with 3 stages. Either you can use lookup stage, either you can use your join stage, or you can go ahead with merge stage. These 3 stages helps you to achieve the end requirement. Now you want to decide which one to be picked in what scenario. Right? Now whatever I'm going to say, it depends. Whatever I'm going to tell you, this is from the performance tuning end. Okay, and whatever I'm saying, that is applicable for my environment, and I will tell you how to check or how to modify whatever I'm saying according to your environment also. Now, when you need to pick lookup, let us say your requirement is just finding out the department name based on the department number. So, one second. So your lookup would look in this way. Lookup stage would look in this way. Source is your employee table, and your reference link would be your department table. Okay. Now, let us say that your employee table is getting some 10,000 records. Okay. And in the department table, let us say you are getting just some 20,000 or 10,000 to 20,000 range. Okay. The record that you are getting is 10,000 to 20,000 range. Okay, from the department table. Then you can damn sure go ahead with your lookup table. And remember, when I say here 10,000, I am not writing here based on this particular value. I haven't just wrote like 10,000 to 20,000. Okay, I am not comparing with this value. I am just saying whatever I am saying. Don't compare with employee table and department table. Just think like in the employee table 10,000 are coming, in department 10,000 to 20,000 records are coming. So my lookup would work very much fine. In my application, it is working very much fine. Even though I get department table value still 4 lakh also, I don't have any issues. Okay, this particular lookup is working very much fine. In the output, I am able to see complete data with properly, I am getting proper data in the output. But when I cross this 4 lakh coming from the department table, when I cross this 4 lakh records coming from the department table, my lookup is failing. My lookup just getting aborted, and it is throwing me an error in the director saying that this job got failed. Okay, the reason being, I told you like how this lookup works. Whatever data that is coming within the department table, right, it tries to put it in the local memory. Local memory means our data stage wherever it has got installed, it uses that particular RAM's memory and it is going to put the complete data coming from the department table in the local memory. So when it crosses this 4 lakhs, okay, by default lookup will be given, I don't exactly remember the size, each operator, whatever I am using, this lookup operator or some source operator or some target operator or the reference links operator, whatever may be the operator, internally your data stage allocates some default memory for each operator. Say for lookup it would be some 50 MB. Okay. Now when you use this particular department table as the reference and if you are getting 4 lakh records, this 50 MB got reached. So after this cannot hold the data. So your lookup is getting failed. You are able to follow me, right? Hello, Nita? Hello?
Can you hear me, Ram?
Yeah, I am able to hear you. Are you able to hear me?
Yeah.
You followed what I told just now?
Yeah.
You followed, right, what I told now? I think there is some problem with the audio. Actually, I am not able to hear you. Nita, just speak out something.
Ram,
Hello?
can you hear me?
Yeah, now I am able to hear
Hello,
you.
can you hear me now?
Yeah,
Okay.
Nita, I am able to hear you. So you understood
Okay.
this concept of 4 lakhs, right? When this 4 lakhs records gets crossed, for this lookup operator, whatever default memory is there, this 50 MB gets crossed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what happens? Well, this 4 lakh cannot fit in this 50 MB. So eventually this operator gets failed and overall job also gets failed.
Okay.
So in this scenario, what you need to do, this thing varies, right, from environment to environment. Let's say in your project, your admin might have given 100 MB for each
Mm-hmm.
operator. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
it depends on the environment that you are working. And so
Mm-hmm.
when it increases this size, obviously the number of records that it can hold in the local memory gets increased.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you need to check out the what we say the latency levels of your not the latency, the threshold levels of your lookup by
Okay.
checking that one with 4 lakh or 5 lakh records using the rows and that you just put something into your lookup and if it is going to work fine, then fine. Or
Mm-hmm.
else you need to what we say based on that limit you need to move on to joiner. Now in this scenario, let us say 4 lakh records is failed, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just give me 1 minute, Nika.
Okay.
Teja, get me the phone. I have got it in my pocket. Just give me 1 minute, Nika. I'm just going to call. So this lookup when it gets 4 lakh, you are there with me, right, Nita?
Yes, I'm here.
So here, when I'm getting 4 lakh records, right,
Mm-hmm.
these 50 will be crossed and it is going to fail. So in this scenario, the only option that you, so what I'm saying, when you get first time, for the first time you get some mapping specification document, and if you are going to design a job as a first step, right? You just
Mm-hmm.
identify what are all the sources and what are all the lookup or join references in your what is a mapping specification document, and just count, just get the count of records that are going to come from all these particular tables as a
Mm-hmm.
first step. Okay,
Okay.
and then if you are going to make a decision like whether you want to proceed with a lookup or join, before that you just create a dummy job just with one row generator and one lookup operator to see what is the threshold levels that your environment supports. Like lookup, if you're going to pay for 4 lakh records, see if the count is exceeding in the reference data tables. If the count is going to exceed 4 lakh, don't use this lookup. Directly use
Mm-hmm.
joiner. Why? Because people, how they will do when they get this mapping specification document, right away they start coding the thing. They will use
Mm-hmm.
source and they will put lookup operator and they will complete the requirement. Okay, why?
Okay.
Because in the specifications, how they will mention, right? They will say
Mm-hmm.
that lookup on this particular column. When you come across this term called lookup, okay, you are going to see this shadow. What is that?
Hello. I hear you also. Okay. Okay, so 15 to 20 minutes. Like, so do you want to continue it today or? Okay. Like then it's only half an hour left, right? No, if I wait for 20 minutes again and again there is only half an hour left. That's what I was asking. Okay. Mm, okay. Anything is fine with me. Okay, no, I'm just wondering like if I wait for half an hour and again it's only half an hour late. Probably we can okay, I don't know what to say like yeah, that should be fine. Okay.